Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be doing an intro to graphing. So this is just the very basics with a lot of key terms, so I'd recommend taking out a notebook, just so that you can keep track of all of them. And if this is more of the basics, just a lot of the terms, so if you want a part 2, which is more detailed, make sure to like this video, just so that I know. So let's get started. So here on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and draw this plane. Now this graph has two lines, one going horizontally and one going vertically. This is called a coordinate plane, and whenever we're graphing, this could be a point or a line, then we will use a coordinate plane. As you can see, there are arrows at the end of the lines. This signifies that the lines go on forever, so you must put the arrows at the end of all the different lines. On a coordinate plane, there's an x-axis and there's also a y-axis. The y-axis is the line going vertically and the x-axis is the line going horizontally. And I'm going to draw another graph just that I can show you guys even more terms, but just that this graph doesn't get as crowded. Now on a graph, there are 4 different quadrants. And we label the quadrants going counterclockwise. The first one is 1, the second one's 2, the third one's 3, and the fourth one's 4. We usually represent it in Roman numerals. And as you can see, it's going counterclockwise, so the opposite of where the clock goes. And you start at around where would be 1 or 2 o'clock on a clock if you're trying to represent this on a clock. So you would go counterclockwise. Now as you can see, all the lines intersect at one specific spot. And this specific spot is called the origin. And it has the points of 0 and 0. And if we were to label this graph, we will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and then to the side, from the origin to the left side, or to the right side, is positives, but to the left side is negatives. So just in a visual representation, just to make it easier, we have it just like this: to the right side's positive, left side negative, down is negative, up is positive. So you can remember this as if you're in the second quadrant, it's gonna be negative. And then like the x-axis is going to be negative. If you're in the third quadrant, then the y and x are going to be negative. And if you go to the fourth quadrant, then only the y is going to be negative. And in the first quadrant, of course, both the x and the y coordinate are positive. Now, if this doesn't make sense, just drawing this graph might help you understand kind of what is happening. Now let's get more into depth with the coordinates, because as I just said, you heard me say there's an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. So whenever we're asked to graph a point, we're given a number, comma, another number in parentheses. The first number is always the x-coordinate, and the second number is always the y-coordinate. What do you mean by this, you might ask? Well, if we draw our graph, as you can see here, and we're asked to graph 3 and 4. So we graph it, or we write the coordinate plane just like any other, and then we label the vertical line as the y-axis and the horizontal as the x-axis. Then we go ahead and count on the y-axis. We count to 3, and then we go up by 4. So that's why it's really important to know the x and the y, and which one's the x-coordinate and which one's the y-coordinate, so you can simply count how many graph pieces to the right and up, or to the left and down. And remember, the x and y coordinate can be negative. We will still graph it the same. So -2 and 6. So instead of going to the +2 to the right, we'll travel to the left 2 times, and then we'll travel up to 6. So as you can see, you just travel to the first coordinate and travel up or down to the next coordinate. And -2 and -7 would be the same thing, except you're just going to go down this time because -7 is on the lower half of the y-axis. And 2 and -5, you would do again, move to 2, and then you would go down to 5. Let's do another problem. So we're going to just draw our coordinate plane just like how we normally would, with the left side of the horizontal axis going negative, the bottom side of the vertical axis going negative as well, and then the other two positive. So let's say we were to graph 5 and 2. So we will travel to 5 and we'll travel up to 2. And remember, because we are starting with the x point, that means we start by traveling on the x-axis. Now we're going to graph one more before you guys do a practice problem all by yourselves. So we draw our coordinate plane just like usual, and let's say we're to graph -2 and -3. So we will move to the left to -2 because it's -2, and we'll move down to -3. And we know we're moving down because it's -3. Now you all are going to do a practice problem all by yourselves. I'm going to give you the graph so you can simply take a screenshot and draw, or you can go ahead and draw your own graph. So you guys are going to graph 3 and 2 and -3 and -2 on a coordinate plane. Did you do it? Let's check if you got the correct answers. So first we're going to move to 3, and then we're going to travel up to 2. Because first is the x coordinate, and then second is the y coordinate. So we'll move first to the x side, and then to the y. And then we'll do the same, except this time it's negative. So we'll go to -3 and -2. So these are the 2 points you should have graphed. Congrats, you made it to the end of this video. Whether you needed help with this concept, you wanted some extra practice, or you just wanted to review, I hope you learned something or got some extra practice in. It'd mean the world to me if you subscribed and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I post a brand new video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. It just tells me if I need to change anything. And if you have any suggestions for any of my videos, remember you can always comment on my discussion page with any suggestions. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye!